Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play the entirety of this video without any interruption, and then I'll go back and talk about things that are going on to better explain what's going on, and talk about things that I think that were done right and or done wrong. Without further ado, here we go.
Hello, I'm Captain Stacy Spell, Commanding Officer of Media Relations Division with the Los Angeles Police Department. This critical incident community briefing is intended to provide you with information about an officer-involved shooting that occurred in the unincorporated area of Los Angeles County. The Los Angeles Police Department Critical Incident Video Release Policy requires that the department release relevant video footage from all officer-involved shootings, significant uses of force, and in-custody deaths within 45 days. However, this incident occurred outside the city limits while the officer was off duty. Therefore, the Los Angeles Police Department only has jurisdiction over the administrative investigation. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department is handling the criminal aspect of this incident, and all evidence, including any photographic and video evidence, is the property of the Sheriff's Department. The purpose of this briefing is to provide the latest information and evidence we have collected related to this case, so you can have a better understanding of what occurred, based on what we know right now. The LAPD conducts very thorough use of force investigations, which typically require investigators to interview multiple witnesses, view numerous hours of video footage, and analyze a significant amount of forensic evidence. We're still at the very early stages of this investigation, which can often take up to a year to complete, and our understanding of the incident may change as this additional evidence is collected, analyzed, and reviewed. On January 10, 2022, at around 9:15 p.m., an off-duty LAPD officer was looking at a home for sale with his girlfriend in the 1700 block of East 87th Street. While at the location, 3 male Hispanic suspects approached the officer and his girlfriend and attempted to rob them at gunpoint. During the attempted robbery, an officer-involved shooting occurred. The suspects fled the scene in a black pickup truck. Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputies responded to the shooting call and discovered the LAPD officer who had been shot. They immediately transported the injured officer to a nearby hospital. Unfortunately, while at the hospital, our officer died from his injuries. That LAPD officer was identified as Fernando Arroyos. Officer Arroyos was a 3-year veteran of the LAPD and was last assigned to Olympic area. Los Angeles Sheriff Department deputies received an additional radio call of a man with a gunshot wound near the area of the incident. They responded and located a suspect who had been involved in this incident. That suspect was identified as Ernesto Cisner. Cisneros was taken into custody and transported to a local hospital with non-life-threatening gunshot wounds sustained during the incident. Los Angeles Sheriff's Department Homicide Bureau responded to the scene and assumed investigative responsibility for the incident. On January 12, 2022, 3 additional suspects were located and apprehended. Those suspects were identified as Luis Alfredo de la Rosa Rios, Jesse Contreras, and Haley Marie Grisham. On January 13, 2022, the United States Attorney's Office filed a criminal complaint charging violent crime in aid of racketeering, VICAR, on Rios, Cisneros, Contreras, and Grisham. Officer Arroyo's weapon was recovered at scene by deputies and booked as evidence. An additional handgun was also recovered at scene by deputies and booked as evidence. Ernesto Cisneros is a 22-year-old resident of Los Angeles. Luis Alfredo de la Rosa Rios is a 29-year-old resident of Los Angeles. Jesse Contreras is a 34-year-old resident of Los Angeles. Haley Marie Grisham is an 18-year-old resident of Los Angeles. Investigators from the LAPD's Force Investigation Division responded to the scene and initiated an administrative investigation. The Los Angeles Police Department is fully cooperating with the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department in their criminal investigation. In the next several months, the LAPD will continue to investigate and analyze this incident. We will continue interviewing any new witnesses that may come forward and complete any forensic tests. After the investigation is complete, our Critical Incident Review Division will forward their findings to the Chief of Police, who will make his recommendation to the Civilian Board of Police Commissioners. The board will evaluate the evidence to determine whether the officer's tactics, drawing, and exhibiting a weapon and use of deadly force in this instance met the high standards expected of all LAPD officers. If you would like more information on how the LAPD investigates all serious uses of force, visit lapdonline.org, where you can also find the LAPD's use of force policy and procedures. Thank you for taking the time to view this critical incident community briefing.
Okay, so let's get into it. Obviously, there's no body cam footage or anything like that. This officer was off duty with his girlfriend.
Those suspects were identified as Luis Alfredo de la Rosa
Looking for a house. I did a search, and Los Angeles Times article on January 13th by Richard Winton. This article talks about the federal prosecutors charging 4 people. These people are mentioned. These people are members of the gang. They're gang members of a gang called Florencia 13 Gang. It goes on to talk about the charges. Okay, so the charges come 3 days after the officer and his girlfriend were attacked while parked in the alley in the unincorporated Florence Firestone neighborhood near Watts. The couple were house hunting and had stopped to take pictures of a place that was for sale when 2 of the men pulled up in a pickup and approached them. According to a sworn affidavit from an FBI agent, Reyes told LA County Sheriff's investigators in an interview that all 4 of them were in the truck the night of the robbery. He was driving, Grisham was in the passenger seat, and Cisneros and Contreras were behind them when they spotted Arroyos and his girlfriend. Surveillance video of the attack shows Rios and Cisneros pointing guns at the couple, according to the affidavit, which also says they took a chain off the officer's neck and a black walking stick from his girlfriend. After an exchange of gunfire between the 2 suspects and the officer, Arroyos ran toward the alley and collapsed, according to the affidavit by FBI Special Agent Seamus Kane. It does not say who fired first. Arroyos' girlfriend returned to the car and tried to pull him inside, calling 911. The assailants fled. When Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputies arrived, they raced the wounded officer in their patrol car to a hospital where he was later pronounced dead. A second video suggests that Cisneros was injured by Arroyos' gunfire. Surveillance video from Junction Street shows Contreras lifting Cisneros, who appears to be injured, out of the black pickup and removing items of clothing from him. Contreras appears to hide the clothing at the side of a house, according to the affidavit. Rios told LA County Sheriff's investigators in an interview that the group was driving around looking to make money, a term for robberies, when they came upon the couple. He told investigators that his moniker is Lil J and that he is a member of F13, as Florencia 13 is known, and he showed deputies a Florencia 13 tattoo on his chest and a tattoo on his arm with his clique, Tiny Locos, according to the affidavit. Cisneros said his moniker is Gonzo and displayed several tattoos for the gang, as did Contreras, who said he had not been active since having children. Rios admitted to firing a handgun during the robbery and believed Cisneros discharged a weapon too. Waiving his rights, he told investigators that he searched the girlfriend, taking her walking stick, and that Cisneros had removed Arroyos' wallet from his pants pocket. Rios admitted he discarded a white hoodie after it became bloody when a bullet grazed his left ribcage, according to the affidavit. He also said that Cisneros handed him Arroyos' wallet and he threw it away in the aftermath after taking $100. Contreras told investigators that chains Arroyos was wearing around his neck led them to rob the couple, but he did not admit to the shooting, according to the affidavit. Grisham allegedly told investigators that Rios said, "He has a nice chain, let's get it." She said that she saw Cisneros point a gun at the man and tell him, "Give him his chains," and that she saw Rios, who was armed, search the woman. She then heard several shots, according to the affidavit, and when Cisneros got back in the truck, he had an injury and said he had a broken leg. Sheriff's Captain Joe Mendoza of the department's Homicide Bureau said the suspect stole 2 silver chains, one with a sword pendant and a black bifold wallet. About 10 minutes after the shooting, deputies in the Sentry Station got a call reporting a shooting victim near Junction Street and East 60th Street, Mendoza said. The person was later identified as Cisneros. An address nearby was tied to one of the suspects, the captain said, adding that the four are believed to be responsible for other robberies in the area. In the hours after the killing, sheriff's homicide detectives, with assistance from their counterparts in the LAPD, questioned several men and women they believed had information about the killing. On Wednesday morning, Sheriff Alex Villanueva announced 4 men had been arrested in connection to the killing. Skip. Arroyos was a talented student who attended Crenshaw High School and went on to graduate from UC Berkeley, and he had been saving for a home during his 3 years as an LAPD officer, his mother said after his killing. He died in a neighborhood that has experienced a sharp rise in violent crime over the last 2 years, part of a broader increase in killings and shootings throughout the city and county. Florence Firestone has been among the neighborhoods hit hardest. According to county coroner data, there were 24 homicides in the neighborhood in the first 11 months of 2021, compared with 9 during the same period in 2020 and 12 in 2019. Last year, killings were the highest in a decade. Sheriff's officials have tied much of the bloodshed in the area to the Florencia 13 gang. In 2019, federal prosecutors indicted 36 alleged members and associates of the gang, charging them with engaging in criminal enterprise, drug trafficking, illegal gambling, attempted murder, and assault. Typically, police would take a case such as this to prosecutors in the district attorney's office, who would file charges in county superior court. But Villanueva, an outspoken critic of District Attorney George Gaskin's decision to no longer pursue sentencing enhancements in gang cases, directed detectives to take the case to the U.S. Attorney's Office, several sources said. These enhancements in a murder case can mean the difference between a life term with this prospect of release and never again coming out from behind bars. Asked at the Thursday night news conference whether the sheriff's department had consulted with the Gaskin's office, Villanueva said yes and called the county prosecutor's response not satisfactory. I believe their plan was just to prosecute a simple murder with no gun enhancements, no gang enhancements, nothing, the sheriff said, and that really did not cover the depravity of this crime. It should be noted that the California Penal Code does cover all these things. The tools are there, but we need to have someone who's willing to use them. Murder in California generally is punishable by 25 years to life in prison. However, with a special circumstance, such as a gang membership or murder and the commission of another crime, a defendant can be sentenced to life without parole. Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti eulogized Arroyos on Thursday while announcing crime statistics. An angel in our city, Officer Fernando Arroyos was shot and killed defending himself and his girlfriend when they were off duty, house hunting for their first home. Fernando grew up in L.A., graduated from Crenshaw High School. I remember him from his graduation. He dreamt of becoming a police officer, attended a top university, UC Berkeley, and now his family. His mother, also an immigrant to our country, no longer has her only son. My heart is broken, our city hearts is broken, and certainly our LAPD family's hearts all grieve, Garcetti said earlier this week. LAPD Lieutenant Rex Ingram, who supervised Arroyos and spoke with him often at Olympic Division, said Arroyos had 2 dreams in his life: to be first in his family, to go to college, and to be an LAPD officer. He more than achieved that, Ingram said. The first time I read one of his reports, I knew his writing skills were far superior to his peers and frankly some ways above the ability of his superiors, Ingram said. So I asked him where he went to school, and he said, being humble, says, LAUSD, and I reply, which college? And he says, Cal Berkeley. Arroyos was a devout Christian who grew up in a household with his mother, grandmother, stepfather, attended 42nd Street Elementary School and Audubon Middle School before graduating from Crenshaw High and heading to Berkeley, where he earned a degree in legal studies. He could have gone to law school or FBI like his peers with that education, but he wanted to serve his community and give back. He loved his community. He was very close to his family. Ingram said Arroyos met his girlfriend at a dry cleaning business in southwest LA about 2 years ago. They were looking to get a home in the area. This was the humblest and happiest guy I know on the job. This couldn't happen to a nicer person. Mendoza said the sheriff's department is asking for the public's help in finding Arroyos' wallet and 2 silver chains. Anyone with information about Arroyos' shooting or other robberies involving the suspect is asked to call the department's homicide bureau. I will tell you that those 2 chains and a wallet mean, I'm sure, a world to the family. I'd ask that the most important thing is that people listen to the description of that wallet and those 2 chains. And that's the end of the article. So the sheriff had talked about their county attorney. And let me scroll back up to it. I'm sorry, district attorney. So this George Gaskin guy in California, or I'm sorry, not California, Los Angeles. This dude's a fucking douchebag. This guy is a hug-a-thug fucking piece of shit. He is the type to coddle and pander the criminals. There was something in the news not too long ago about a family who had a murder victim, and the murderer was a juvenile, and the juvenile was practically released, and no serious consequences came about because they were a juvenile, and this dumbass dude, George Gaskin, has this dumb fucking policy about being super relaxed with juvenile offenders. This has forced the police there to abandon their local resource, their own district attorney, and have to resort to going to a federal agency and going through the U.S. Attorney's Office to get an acceptable course of action legally. So he said that when he talked to this Gaskin guy, the county district attorney, he said that their plan was just to prosecute a simple murder with no gun enhancements and no gang enhancements. And those things mean that people can serve a longer sentence. If they had decided to go through the district attorney, go through state level charges, and it just be murder only, these people could be out in less than 25 years. But with the federal crimes, if convicted, they can stay in for a long time. Long time. And there is no bullshit at the federal level like there is at the state level stuff. These criminals are being coddled and pandered. They're given little slaps on the wrist. These are bad people. These people have criminal backgrounds. This is not their first time ever deciding to go do something. These are piece of shit fucking people. They contribute nothing good to society at all. They take away from society. They diminish society. They have no place being amongst the rest of us. But we have too many hug-a-thug morons in positions where they can make decisions that can make or break whether or not someone spends the rest of their life in prison or they do a small amount of time and then come right back out. This is the reason why crime is so rampant right now. Criminals do not fear the criminal justice system anymore. They know it is a fucking joke. When the woke liberal left crowd wants to talk about justice reform, they're not really talking about making things better. They're just talking about trying to put more restrictions on the police and make it harder for them to do their job so fuckheads like this can continue going out victimizing people. We do need justice reform, but it's not like the woke liberal crowd fucking wants it. Where our justice reform needs to be at is in the courts and the prisons. We need to make shit hard on criminals. We need to go back to being hard on crime. If someone gets final sentence to 10 years, they do 10 years. Not a fucking day less. You get put in for 10 years, you need to do 10 years flat. We need to get away from this good behavior bullshit, completing these different programs, completing SAP and getting time taken off, etc., shock probation. We need to end that shit when it comes to violent offenders and repeat offenders. Get rid of it. Sentence them to 10 years and let them stay in there for 10 fucking years. And then on top of that, we need to take away all the nice amenities that are in the prisons. Some prisons are like a fucking country club. It ain't that bad. They get to have access to sodas and chips and candy bars and cheese sticks and noodles and pepperoni slices and pickles and peanut butter. I mean, all kinds of shit. They can get a fucking grocery store in prison delivered to them. Take that away. What, just because you're in prison, you get to have the privilege of having access to drinking a Coca-Cola and eating a candy bar, eating a Snickers? Fuck that. That's not a given. That's something that you earn. So when these shithead criminals are actually caught by the police for stuff, our courts are failing society by imposing least restrictive options on these fucking shitheads. Instead of sentencing them to long terms, they're giving them short terms. Instead of actually following through with one charge, they give them a plea deal and amend their charges down and give them something different. And this has happened a lot. Someone go get charged with murder because they want to go rat on someone and do this and make a plea deal because the prosecuting attorney doesn't want the headache of going to a trial or doing anything and just wants to get a plea deal and put another little notch on their belt and say, oh, I've got X amount of convictions. Look at me, woohoo, I'm really good at what I do. Instead of sticking with a murder charge, they'll give them a plea deal. They say, well, if you plead down to reckless homicide, then instead of doing this time, you'll do this time. And of course people take it. What? 25 years versus 5 years? And you know damn well they're not going to spend the whole 5 fucking years in prison for reckless homicide. They're going to get out in 3. What would you do? Would you take the chance of going to trial on a murder charge and getting 25 to life? Or would you plea down to a reckless homicide that has a 5-year sentence, but you know you're not going to serve all 5? You'll probably get out early for good behavior. It's a no fucking brainer. Of course these people take these plea deals. We should take these plea deals away. You get charged for murder and there's enough preponderance of evidence to convict, fucking go for it. Death penalty needs to be put back into play more often. Not everyone who's convicted of murder gets the death penalty. Actually, very few people will ever get the death penalty. And even when people do get the death penalty, it takes 30 fucking years before we execute them. There are people who've gone out and killed other people, got caught, tried, convicted, and was given the death penalty, and they died of natural causes before the state could ever execute them. How fucking stupid is that? We sit there and let these people grow old in prison, and then they die of natural causes before we can just exterminate them. Until this society gets hard on crime again and abandons this bullshit practice of hugging thugs and coddling them and pandering to them and saying, oh, well, he went out and robbed these people and shot them, but, he was a good guy, and, he's really the victim in all this. He had a really bad upbringing, and, he just didn't have the same chances as all these other people because of his skin color and where he grew up at, and burka. Shut the fuck up. Stop making fucking excuses. These are piece of shit motherfucking criminals. That's it. They're not fucking victims. They're victimizers. And until society gets a grasp on that and comes to terms with that and gets hard on crime, violent crime is going to continue to grow. Violent crime is going to continue to grow, and the murder rates in these large metropolitan areas is going to go through the roof. Chicago. Fuck that place. I'll never go back to Chicago. I'll never set foot back in that place. The hell with that place. Louisville. I really have no desire to go back up to Louisville. That place is a fucking shithole. And when you look at these places where the violent crimes are rampant, murder rates are high, guess who's in charge? The people in charge within the government up in these places, they are predominantly all Democrats. The Democratic Party has some jacked up ideological beliefs. And this is why when you see these large metropolitan areas that are mostly ran by Democrats, that's why you see huge problems. This war on police is going to get worse. Now, obviously, these guys didn't know that this dude was a police officer. They just thought he was a regular dude and rolled up on him to rob him. But the other video I did from Phoenix, where the dude ambushed the officers, shot multiple of them, and a lot of other videos before this war on police shit is going to get worse. Because changing the laws doesn't happen overnight. It has to take time. And unfortunately, it's going to lead to more. Right now, the way things are going, more police officers are going to end up getting killed and seriously physically injured. And it's going to get to a point where the numbers rise to a certain level of so many officers being killed and seriously physically injured that people are going to say, oh shit, we need to do something. And then people will start to put in the process to change things. And then, because shit don't get to change overnight, More and more police officers are going to get killed and seriously physically injured. More regular citizens are going to be killed and seriously physically injured until things are put in motion to change laws and go back to being hard on crime. Putting away violent offenders. Locking them away. If you live in a large metropolitan area with a huge crime rate, my suggestion to you is get the hell out of there. Move. Leave. Why put yourself at risk like that? Not much else to really say about this video. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense, thank you for watching.